on Coleman. Count on Coleman. If your world is looking strange, you can count on Coleman for change.
Hi, Baton Rouge. District 10 is where we are in right here. And today I want to welcome you to the Coleman's podcast, Coleman Cares podcast, where we do our best to educate the people. Educate the people. And so today I have with me a gentleman that has been on that train for a long time, educating people, and he ain't tired yet. He's constantly out here telling us about the latest legislation, what thus says the law, about a very vulnerable population that's near and dear to his heart. And so today I have Mr. Checo Yancy with me, and he's with Voters Organized to Educate. There it is, Voters Organized to Educate. So tell us about you and your connections to Baton Rouge, Mr. Yancy, and just tell us about you.
Well, about me, first of all, thanks for having me, and I appreciate that. I'm a former incarcerated person. I spent 20 years in Angola for a crime that I did commit. I made a mistake. I did something I had no business, but I've been out of prison now 22 years, and we've been doing this work. We actually started on the inside called the Angola Special Civics Project, where we realized that when you write a bill or file a bill and new laws, it's the legislator that do the work, and we really didn't realize that. So we decided when we got out of prison that we would do this kind of work to try to educate our people and make a difference. People can always talk about former incarcerated people. They ain't no good. They this, they that. But what about the ones that come back and try to do the right thing? And what about the ones that vie to actually get former incarcerated people involved in the mix so they can see something different and do something different? Sometimes they're not welcome back home, they're not welcome at the churches, and they're certainly not welcome a lot of other places, but that's what we do. I'm originally from New Orleans, didn't want to be in Baton Rouge, but I was adopted here with some friends. My church adopted me, Grace and Compassion, Pastor Chester Self on Airline Highway. They came to the prison, and at that time I didn't know I was going to be here. But they are the ones that adopted me and loved me and accepted me just who I was. It's amazing when you come home. People wonder, former incarcerated people, when they come home, why do they go back? That's a $1 million question. But a lot of times they're not welcome. They can't get a job. They can't get a place to stay. People treat them like an animal. And I tell people all the time, if you treat someone like an animal in prison and you let them out, how do you expect them to act like a human being? And that's the kind of work that we do, Voice of the Experience, Voters Organized to Educate. We have an office here in Baton Rouge. Our main office is in New Orleans. And we have an office in Lafayette, and it's all run by former incarcerated people. And our job is to make sure that former incarcerated people have a place at the table. And when I say that, I'll say it again, a place at the table to help make decisions, because who knows better than the former incarcerated person? So thank you again for having me, and I know we got a lot to talk about. But I'm prepared. I watch you in the city council. You're a sharp lady.
Oh, no, not as sharp as you, I don't believe, because...
Well, we ain't gonna even go that way, okay? No, we ain't going that way because I'll have to pay for that later, okay? But very sharp, and when you have something to say, you say it loud, you say it clear. And that's what we want to talk about here today, saying it loud, saying it clear, where it makes sense to let's say, common folks that's
That's
listening.
it. That's it. The
Common folks
everyday
that's
people.
listening. You
That's
know,
right.
Sly Stone made that record long years ago. Everyday people, you
That's
know.
right.
And
That's right.
I'll be telling my age, God willing, and next month I'll be 80 years old. So I'm an
Wow.
old man. So I was born in 1945, and this foolishness that we're seeing now, I've seen this movie before. I've seen the 50s, I've seen the 60s and the 70s. I went in the military in 1962, where your commanding officer could call you the N-word and nothing could be done. So I remember when 1965 happened, and here we are 60 years later, and we're about to go through this same bull again. So let's go.
There you go. And that's a segue into how does this organization create change in the criminal justice system for the people?
Well, we try to create change by letting folks know that in order to make change, we have to change ourselves. Part of our organization is from change to change.
Now, you got to repeat that. I believe they missed that.
From change to change. So if I was in change and now I'm changed, then that is what we're talking about.
Wow.
And who knows it better than the former incarcerated people? Most of our people that's part of our organization, some of us spent 20, 25, 30, 40 years in prison. And I had an opportunity to get out and to do better. There are organizations that work with former incarcerated people because we found out when you came out of prison, everybody was happy to be home. But then you couldn't get a place to stay, you couldn't get a job. So we started creating jobs, we started creating housing and stuff for our people. We have other organizations we work with. We started a Reentry 72 Plus down in New Orleans, and 72 hours when you come out of prison are the most, I tell you, 72 hours after coming out of prison, you got to find everything that you think you need. You know, housing, food, all these things. Grandma love you, she may be gone. Sister love you, she may not want you. Mama may not have an ability to take care of you because you have parole fees, all these other things. So there's a mountain of barriers that stand before former incarcerated people. So who better than former incarcerated people to tell their story?
The other thing that I like that you always do, Mr. Yancy, literature. Anybody can ask you a question about anything about the formerly incarcerated, and I believe incarcerated as well. And you got some literature for them and a conversation. Talk to us about your newsletter, The Voice of the Experienced.
Well, literature is very important, as you mentioned, Councilman, and it's very important because you can tell someone something. If they don't grasp it, if I give them something in a hand and they can sit down and read it, then they get a chance to understand that from change to change, they can actually see it. Then they can go on the back of it, they can see who we are, our focuses, how do we do it, and how to contact us. Because you're not gonna, just reading the literature is not gonna give you everything unless you really, really want to be involved. You got to really want to cut the cake. You really got to understand that I want to get into this pot and I want to stir it. I want to make sure that I understand how it works. How can it help me? How can it help my loved one? What can it do to make the community safer? We realize when we come back out of prison, nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. Nobody's going to come out and everybody's going to do the right thing. We got some people that ain't never been to prison. And guess what? They're not doing the right thing, you know? But people blame you, the headlines, former incarcerated person did this, former incarcerated person did that. But nobody talks about the back end. The back end is, did you give this person a hand up? Not a handout, but a hand up. And that's what we try to do as former incarcerated people, because we understand, you know, we came out, I remember Representative Pat Smith, she fought 5 years in a row to get us our voting rights. Well, if I can come back, and my testimony before the committee was, if you don't want to give me my voting rights, why you got me paying taxes? I'll trade my taxes. If you want to not give me my voting rights, let me not pay taxes. And the chairman said, well, Mr. Yancey, I think that's a good deal. But, you know, you want a taxation without representation, you know? So, you know, you have to continue to do these things. That's why we share. And when I come to your place and other places, we have a sign outside about what former incarcerated people got to do to get registered to vote. And there's that myth out there that I got out of prison, I'm not able to vote. That's not true. That is not true. If you've been out of prison and you've been out 5 years, you can go and register to vote. All you have to do, if you're on probation and parole, I'm on probation and parole. I had to get a letter from probation department. They said that I was eligible. I've not been in trouble and everything. I can take that along with my vote application. And guess what? I'm now a registered voter. And I'm an active registered voter. You know, I tell people you can download the Go Vote app. A lot of folks don't know who represent them. So we do trainings on teaching people to download the Go Vote app so you'll know who represents you. I have people tell me, I ask people, who is your state representative? Well, my state representative is Cassidy. But Cassidy is not a state representative. He's in the federal, he's a congressman. So, but that app tells you everything what you need to know. That is why we do, and we try to make it simple. It's like 1, 2, 3, ABC, to make sure people understand what they need to do, become active, to make sure that they become registered and go to the polls and vote. If you don't vote, then you have no complaint. If you complain and you don't go vote, then guess what? That is your fault. It's like right now, what we're putting up with, as far as I'm concerned, we're putting up from the city to the state to the top. People didn't go vote, and this is what we got. We got what we got now, and I had a big conversation with someone over the weekend that here's a guy that's the mayor now that's telling me to go vote, but he didn't vote 8.5 years. Now, I think something's very wrong with that. You know, I mean, you didn't go vote, but now you want me to go vote for what you want. You know, but that's been done. He's the mayor now. I respect the honorable mayor. But that's what voting is about. And voting is your choice. You don't win all the time. You're not going to win all the time, but at least you let your voice be heard. And I can remember my granddad and aunt, and they dressed up to go vote.
They sure
And no matter how hot it was or whatever, they put their suit and tie on.
Yes.
They went and voted, and we've gotten away from that. We make all kinds of complaints about I'm too busy and whatever. You know what I do? I early vote. Because I early vote at night the football game, it ain't all that. I may not feel good on election day, but if I've already early voted, and guess what? I show my tag, and guess what? That's what you do. So again, any questions from anybody, you have my phone number, 225-270-5245, and you can call me and we can share this information with you. I'm sure we don't have a lot of time to do all this today, but guess what? If you show up, guess what? You'll show out.
Voice of the experience, waken the sleeping giant. Talk to us about that.
Well, the sleeping giant, most folks may not realize it, but when Representative Pat Smith did this, there was close to 70,000 formerly incarcerated people that was eligible to register to vote. That's a voting block. That is a voting block. And we are fighting daily, our organization and other organizations like the Power Coalition, we all work together as one of our sister organizations, of letting folks know how important their vote is. And when a man or a woman tells me that their vote is not going to count, you bought into slave master. Master tells you that stuff. Master don't tell you if you go vote, you can make a difference, because Master want to stay over people that's in poverty, over people that's down and everything. So if you wake up that sleeping giant and they wake up to know that they have power, they can go to the polls and vote for the candidate of their choice. And I tell everyone, no matter who's running for office, you need to educate yourself on that person that's running. Do a background check. Don't just let somebody tell you know anything and vote for me, I'm going to set you free. That was the Temptations and everything. But the thing about it is, educate yourself on that candidate. What has that candidate done in the community lately? What has that candidate done for anybody else? You know, is he in the community? Did he just move in this community? Look at his residence. All those things, that's educating yourself on the candidate. And then you have to make an intelligent choice. We just had a big election on the judgeship, and there was some great candidates running. But each one of them had a quality, and a couple of them did not have the quality. So you make your choice on who you thought was the best candidate. That is educating yourself. That's waking up that sleeping giant. That means that, hey, I did my homework on that person. You know, even right now, I'm probably gonna get in trouble. Even with Councilwoman Coleman here, we did our homework on Councilwoman Coleman. We had some grievances, but we got together and realized, you know what? This is all for naught. And guess what? Let's go ahead on and do what we got to do. And I think she represented District 10 very well. Do I agree with everything? No. But guess what? Who's going to agree with everything? And I'm going with this, and you probably laugh at me. I remember my granddad used to tell me, teeth and tongue fall out.
That's it.
And it took me years to understand what that meant. You've bitten your tongue, but you're not going to throw your tongue away because your tongue is very important. You may get mad with your teeth, but your tongue is what got in the way. So, you know, that's what I'm going to say, you know. And educate yourself. I mean, it's you can make it laugh, you can be fun, but educate yourself on the candidate. You know, like right now, we're getting ready on the 23rd, do something in your community center.
Yes.
And the guest is Ryan Thompson. I heard Ryan is running for the district attorney. Okay, so guess what? Educate yourself on Ryan. You know, we got Hillard Moore now. What is going to be different? Do you know what the prosecutor do? I tell people, understand what that office holds. He is the prosecutor for East Baton Rouge Parish. So guess what? Do your homework, and hey, it'll come out the way God wanted, because I trust God.
All the time. And you know, I was just sitting here thinking of the day that the group, you all came to a council meeting, and all of the men and women in there that were formerly incarcerated were employed at this point. I mean, on jobs, with families. I remember one gentleman got up there and talked about home ownership.
Right.
The whole 9 yards. And that is what this thing is all about. It's all about a second chance. And that is definitely something that we must look forward to doing for the people. Here at the Butler Center, there is an employee, and he will tell you about being formerly incarcerated, I think about 14 years. But let me tell you one thing about him. I would not trade him for anyone who has never been incarcerated. When I tell you, knows the lay of the land, from the front to the back, you can ask him anything. He's going to be able to tell you who moved what, where it is, the whole 9 yards. And so it is important that we understand second chances. They are real.
Well, can I say this now?
Yes.
Not a second chance.
All right.
God gives us another chance.
All
I lost
right.
my second chance when Mama told me to get out the Chinaberry tree.
Okay, all right.
And, you know, seriously, I mean, we say that, and that's a good saying, a second chance, but I serve a God of another chance.
All right.
If you really think about all the listeners right now and the people in the room right now, how many chances have God given you?
He's still giving them
but
to
if
me.
he gave you your second, we wouldn't be here talking about it. So we try to change that language, and I understand how people do that, a second chance, but another chance, you know, to let people know, because guess what? People, when they come home from prison and they've done their time, they're coming back to the community. And how do you want them to be treated? How do you want your child to be treated? If it's your loved one, how did you how would you really like for someone to treat your loved one? You know, my church invited me in, they loved me, and they told me, I love you. And I was like, okay, these people don't even know me. But you know what they did? They showed me. And I've been in that same church for 22 years. And I thank God for grace and compassion.
There you go. And so I stand to be corrected. Another chance, and definitely gave him another chance, and the best employee that I know, and that is of utmost importance. And those persons that came to that council meeting, and they were adamant about who they were and where they were in their walk after being incarcerated. And I tell you what, they had done or have done better than some that have been out here and not been incarcerated. I mean, they had their, as that song say, their own car, they got their own house, they had their own whatever. I mean, just it was, I tell you.
Someone just needs an opportunity.
Opportunity.
Just need an opportunity. And, you know, we just won the fair chance in the New Orleans area. We're getting ready to come to East Baton Rouge summer. We're going to be seeking your support on helping men and women that's out of prison that can work for the city, get contracts for the city, and not be relied upon who they are, what are their qualifications, that they can run a business, that they can have a contract. So that's coming to the city of East Baton Rouge. So I am seeking your support on that. And next time I come, I'll give you all the information. In fact, we had to go on the ballot. We had it on the ballot in Orleans Parish. It just passed by 75%. So we passed that in Orleans. So we're getting ready to bring that to East Baton Rouge. Then we're going to Lafayette, and we're going to try to go across the state to give men and women that come back paying taxes, homeowner taxes, all these other things, why they can't get contracts and why they can't work for the city.
Wow.
May not be in the top office, but somebody has to do something to give persons opportunity.
Great. That sounds like a great plan to for me. And so, as you mentioned, the monthly meeting that will be here, and ladies and gentlemen, all of you out there, October 23rd, 5:45, here at the Leo S. Butler Center, that monthly meeting that will be here, and you need to come out and get some information, ask your questions, be concerned, be a part of the solution, and not a part of just sitting around and bellyaching. Also, Mr. Yancy, you mentioned about New Orleans, the election that just happened, and the gentleman that's in the runoff. Tell Baton Rouge about that.
We'll show you how life can be. This gentleman, Calvin Duncan, spent 28 years for a crime that he did not commit. I spent 20 years in prison for a crime that I'm responsible for. He spent 28 years for a crime he didn't commit. He went to law school, got his degree, everything, was a commencing speaker, started 2 or 3 businesses in New Orleans, and he's now running for clerk of court in Orleans Parish. And he came out with the highest number of votes in there, and that's running against his opponent. I won't call the name, I'll just be fair. But, you know, and I will call his name, to be fair, Lombard. And that's a name that's been there for years. And in fact, my background, I worked for the clerk of court before I went to prison for Edward Lombard way back in the 70s. So it's just a lot of history there. But he's running for clerk of court. He's on the ballot, and he's running for November the 15th. That will be the election. But, Councilman Coleman mentioned about the monthly meeting that we're having here. Attorney Ryan Thompson, people may not know, he's running for DA. But the other thing is, it's unjustified that we're going to have a community defend the communities and fight for fair representation. So if you're about learning, getting more information, you can come for the Voice of the Experience for our monthly meeting, October the 23rd, from 5:45 to 8 p.m. right here at 950 East Washington Street right here. So come on out, get some new information, and become educated. Get educated on your community and what's going on. Vote is sponsoring this. Step Up, Rouge City, and the SAF. They're all sponsoring this event. Plenty of food, plenty of everything. But most of all, you can learn how to wake up the sleeping giant. And the sleeping giant sometimes can be me, and it can be you. Wake up.
You all heard it. Well said. How can they contribute to this powerful mission of your organization here, Mr. Yancy, the Voters Organized to Educate?
How can they contribute? By getting involved.
Okay.
We are funded, well funded, but how you really get involved, educate yourself, tell someone about what you can do. We're not here to beg for your money or anything like that. We're here to beg you to get involved, to get in your head, to get educated. And guess what? Once you learn 2 and 2 is 4, and you can say +4 is 8, nobody can ever take that from you. So come and get educated. Understand, if you're a former incarcerated person, you've been out of prison 5 years, we can tell you how you can get your voting rights. We will walk you through that. We will come pick you up. We will bring you and assist you and make sure that Steve downtown in the voter register's office, know him personally, see him at the Capitol and everything, to make sure that you get treated right and you make sure you get your voting rights. But once you get it, then you got to exercise and you can go to the polls and make an intelligent decision on the candidate or the issues. Sometimes there are amendments on the ballot, but you can educate yourself. And I'm going to leave cards here and information here at the center here. We do it across the city. At all of the councilman's district, we put stuff out so when people come out, they can see it. Because sometimes, what I've learned, Councilman, sometimes if you're talking to people, they don't want to hear it, but they'll take that piece of paper, and they don't want everybody to know they've been in prison.
Yes.
So they'll take that piece of paper and they'll call me quietly, or call one of the organizers quietly and say, hey, how can I get some help?
How?
Can I get this? And guess what? We can do this. And what I didn't say is there's another organization, the Parole Project, that helps former incarcerated actually house people for 6 months till they get on their feet. So there's a lot that we're doing for each other, because who knows better than the men and women that was incarcerated? Sometimes our nerves are a little shattered sometimes. Everybody don't have all education, can't speak right. But if we can get with them and just show them they can be a better person and the community will embrace them, guess what? We'll do better.
And you know, as I was sitting here, I was thinking of the expungement that we did, and it made a difference in many folk lives. I was given some money. All of the districts were given money to do something for the Dr. King. And I said to them, Dr. King believed in working. So I don't need to go out here marching. I need to do what needs to happen so that these people can get jobs and get in school. And I tell you what, Friday, and there was a young man with a long list, and he was excited because some of the things his records were expunged. So now he can apply for a better job. And I'm just waiting to hear from the many, many, many more that we've done. It takes a little while, but that's what we used our money for on both occasions.
And that can be successful for someone that gets something expunged from their record. But guess what? White folks get it expunged all the time. They get through diversionary program. Black folks don't get diversionary. You know, we have to go to prison and everything. So expungement helps folks to be able to get back in the community to maybe get a mopping job. You know, but at least they can take care of their family and don't have to go out and rob and steal and do other bad things. They can make a decent living. So I applaud you for doing the expungement. I applaud all the districts in the city of Baton Rouge for doing expungement. You know, we work with the expungement group, JAC, Justice Accountability.
Yes.
We work with these people because guess what? Expungement helps people get that little spot off their record.
Yes.
That I can now move and get a job that pays $10 an hour. But if I get expungement correctly, now I can make $15 an hour because my record now shows something else.
Yes, indeed. And so 15 or maybe 20, but that is, yes, indeed. And then can definitely have a decent life when they get that burden lifted off of them. And so as we close, I want to remind you to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the Coleman Cares podcast. I want to thank you for joining us. And is it?
May I give you a compliment?
Yes, sir.
Coleman Cares. I like that. Coleman Cares. Does that mean care now for Coleman to make sure we can do the district just a little bit better? You've been caring for people, so how about the people doing something to make sure that you can continue your great work? See, I got you. You stop. That's unbelievable.
And on that note, that's going to hold you all there, and I received that. And so Mr. Yancy did what he normally does. He closed this thing out. Coleman Cares.
Count on Coleman. Count on Coleman. If your world is looking strange, you can count on Coleman for change.